Stockbridge are home this week. I'm sure that's going to be, first of all, nice to get back on the home court. A couple teams out of the division, so to speak, but still, I'm sure there's some areas that you'd like to see, offensively, to pick up a little bit.
Well, we fired our shooting coach this week. We have now fired myself and promoted Coach Wahog, and see if things can go a little bit better from our sparkling 23, 24, 37% from the field. We've kind of found our way out of it a little bit against Moorhead, hit some shots, and really just kind of got to fight through it. I think Monday's practice was good, and this week's been pretty good so far. So just got to put it behind us and focus on the positives and the fact that we play really hard, and we got to continue down that path and make sure we're getting the right shots and shooting with some confidence.
So those offensive struggles, were those something Northern and Moorhead did defensively, or just maybe just struggling from the floor in those games?
Well, you'd have to include Crookston on that too, because that's kind of where it started.
Sure.
We got a lot of open shots that we just didn't knock down. And then you start rushing them, and then you start taking whatever comes along. So it kind of becomes just a downhill process, and everything kind of goes the wrong direction. But I think kids just have to, we spend a lot of time outside of practice getting their shots up and shooting with coaches, and I really think that's just really a confidence thing, and knowing that you can hit the shot and knock it down, and hopefully that's something we've overcome and we're heading the right direction.
For a team that lacks size as you do, how much more important is that being perimeter shooting? I guess over the last 3 games, are we seeing the result of what happens when that shooting isn't there?
Well, I think that, part of that is not understanding some things like, I didn't think our execution against Moorhead against Northern was very good in the fact that they sag and they clog things up, and because of that you can come off screens and look through the defense to the weak side, and we didn't do any of that. So the shots we got, some of them were a little bit forced, and then we tried to go inside, and we didn't have a lot of success with that either. And I think against Crookston we got a lot of open shots, and we did exactly what we want other teams to do when we play zone, and that is crank up shots. And so we did, and we did it quickly, and it got out of hand there in a hurry in a game that we probably could have handled had we had a little bit better patience, I think, offensively, and not settled for the first thing that came along.
Coach, what did you see out of Carrie this weekend? She had her most successful offensive weekend in NSIC play of her career. What did you like out of her offensively?
Well, I think that, part of it is when you come into playing for your coach, you're trying to understand what they want, and I think they're for, maybe a little time Carrie's trying to figure out when we want her to shoot and when we want her to drive, and I think maybe between her and I, we've got that figured out a little bit, and now she's just starting to kind of play and get a feel and take what they give her, and the fact that she hit her perimeter shots gives her some confidence and seemed to carry over this week into practice very well.
Yeah. Does it make it any more difficult, Coach, to control the pace that you guys want to play at when you have to be so focused on executing and getting those good shots?
A little bit, yeah. I think that we can get in a hurry. I think the way our offense is designed, we can shoot off 1 pass, 2 passes, 3 passes, and then kind of like a football game, time of possession, we're playing a lot of defense, and eventually that's going to wear you out. So we have to maneuver that a little bit and run some false motion and use some time off the shot clock, and then get into our dribble drive stuff, and then get the shot that we want. So, it takes some strategy, and sometimes you can only control so much from the bench before a timeout comes, or maybe a long stretch in between, and things can happen in a hurry that change a game. So our kids just have to understand a little bit better. But I think it really is just a result of when you miss some shots, you start to force, and then you start to shoot it quicker, and you take anything that comes along. So we're, again, don't want to overthink it. I think we got to put that behind us and focus on the next game.
What about your next 2 opponents this weekend? Upper Iowa, what kind of matchups are you expecting?
Well, Upper Iowa is a little bit like us. They run a couple different defenses, a couple different presses back to a couple different defenses, so we got to be ready for both of those. And then at times they've struggled to score. They're a little bit limited. They've got one pretty good post player, and Kiefer was a phenomenal player 2 years ago. Somebody you couldn't even hardly guard, and this year she's averaging, right around 11, 12 points a game, and they've got a couple people to go with her, but I think that sometimes they struggle to score as well. And I think they're hungry for a win, which always makes a dangerous team. and they seem to always devise something to make it difficult for us. So I think they'll come in and they'll compete hard, but I think it's definitely a team that is beatable, and that we could just, as long as we put a good effort on the line and execute what we need to, should be able to come out on top. And then Winona State's a team that's got everything. They've got really good shooters. They've got 6'3" transfer from I think it was Nebraska, or maybe it was Iowa State. Iowa State. She's a really good player, Zimmerman. That will really battle for them inside, and so they've got a lot more size than we do, and they've got a lot of weapons, but everybody put the shorts on the same way, and you still got to suit up and play. So they've had some close games. They were fortunate of things and how they played out in the Sioux Falls game, because Sioux Falls basically had the game won when some things went wrong with the officials and the fans, and so they came out on top of that one and snuck out. But I think they've had some close battles, and we're going to have to play well to make it close.
Alex, you guys have had balance offensively all season, but how nice is it to have someone like Carey coming off the bench and giving you some good offensive output this past week? And is that a good sign, and do you like to see that moving forward?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's great having like a spark like Carey off the bench come in, and she can score, and I think she runs our offense really well, and she's really good with the ball. Like, no one ever steals the ball from her, and you can just tell that after this weekend she's gotten a lot more of her confidence back, and she's had so far a great week of practice. So yeah, it's great to see that, and especially because I'm going to be here next year too, so it's just exciting to see the potential that we have in the future as well.
Sure. You never want to look ahead, but playing a ranked team like Winona, is that an easy one to get up for? Is that one maybe you guys, I don't know, probably pull more chip on your shoulder, a ranked team coming into your house?
I mean, yeah, especially them coming into our house, and I mean, not a lot of people are expecting us to win that game, so I mean, yeah, we're definitely going to get up for it, and everyone's excited. So,
Coach, do you approach these I'm sure you don't, but I mean, in a sense, do you approach these maybe non-division games a bit differently, considering that win or lose, they're not going to affect your standing in the North? It's a long trip for these two teams. Is it this weekend maybe an opportunity to, I don't know, let it loose and don't hold anything back, just considering that it's not going to affect your standing in the North?
Well, it does, actually. Every game is basically how we finish in our conference play. So we've got to go out and just absolutely play as hard as we can. I mean, every game to us is a chance to improve and a chance to get better. And we feel like we've taken a couple steps backwards, and we want to get back on track. So I think we're going to come in with a lot of fire and a lot of energy, and really excited to play at home. It's Military Appreciation Night on Friday night, and that's always kind of fun to have another event going on. And then to turn around and play a ranked opponent on our home court and have a chance to go out and prove something. I anticipate that our kids will have a lot of energy, and that makes me excited, because a lot of energy means some good things from us.
And energy on your part, I think, could be a weapon considering how far they have to travel. Do you expect that to play into your hands as well?
Well, we just had a discussion about the bus they take. It's got a kitchen, and it has beds and all kinds of things, so it sounds like they'll be traveling in comfort, so I'm not overly concerned about their road trip.
Are you being serious?
Being completely serious.
What?
So quite honestly, I don't know if
Thought you were
that's a
kidding.
big issue for Upper Iowa. I think it is when, sometimes maybe we get on a crowded bus of 38 people and a 42 passenger and do that kind of thing, but not really an issue. We can't really worry about them and external factors. Let's worry about us, and that is just going to work every day, getting better and getting shots up outside of practice and coming in with a lot of confidence and just playing with passion and energy.
How about you, Alex? As a player, and of course, seeing last week and going through a couple, offensive kind of drought type of things, do you feel still that this team still can turn back around and this weekend get things going back?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, definitely. I know that a lot of girls this week have been shooting outside of practice. I've been getting shots up with coach, and I think especially just these past two practices have been really good for us. So I think everyone's starting to get their confidence back, and we can definitely turn it around, and everyone's really pumped for this weekend. So